statistic of people that get their license and 2 years down the road are no longer practicing is staggering, over 80%. So there's a lot of companies out there that teach you how to get into the business, but don't necessarily, there's not too many out there that teach you how to stay in business. And really that's kind of where I cue in. And it goes beyond a simple lead generation strategy. Again, my background is in business development. So I take a lot of those principles that we grew the company in my healthcare days from a very few amount of employees to over 100 within 18 months. So we had drastic growth. And I think that a lot of those same principles, I like to apply them for real estate agents, as they're business owners, whether they realize it or not. So
all right, guys, welcome to another episode of the IDP Podcast. I know we've been gone for a little bit. It's tax season. You guys know how it is. And if you don't, well, I promise you probably heard it from one of your friends that does it. So I am excited today because we got a special guest today, Jaime Resendiz with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Echo Real Estate Advisors, correct?
That's the one. That's awesome, the one.
And Jaime, thanks for coming on. For those of you that don't know Jaime, I met him through the NAHREP luncheon, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. He came on, gave a great presentation about a software called Remine. Okay, Remine. I always want to say Remine. I don't know why.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
So a software called Remine, which really I think was amazing how they're using all this big data that's out there and how he's using it for his marketing. And I had to have him on. I immediately went up there and started talking to him like, you got to come on, you got to come on. And here we are now, guys. So, Jaime, welcome, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jose. I always appreciate a good opportunity to talk about myself. So that's very much appreciated. So again, thank you so much for having me. And as you mentioned, I went and did a presentation in Houston. So I do several presentations, sometimes about Remine, sometimes about marketing in general. So my background is in more of business development and in the healthcare space.
Okay.
So I was in healthcare for a few years immediately after college, and that was going along well. It was good, but at the same time, real estate, there's always been that fascination for me. So I was an investor prior to me becoming a realtor. So when I exited the healthcare space, I immediately opened a business brokerage. So I helped business owners sell their business. And in order for me to participate in the sale of real estate, I had to become a real estate agent. So that was I really didn't have an ambition to become a real estate agent per se, but I wanted to be involved in real estate in some capacity. So it was through my opening of that business brokerage that I had to, by proxy, become an agent. I became an agent. And again, I didn't necessarily have any inclination to be a residential agent or a commercial agent more than I needed to for the business side of things. But then I started doing it, and I got hooked. So I started more of, I still kept my business brokerage. Then I ended up buying a property management company. So when I did that, I let go of the business brokerage, dedicated myself to the property management along with being a full-time realtor.
Okay.
And then I found out that property management is hell on earth. So I ended up selling that business, and then became a partner in another business as I continued throughout this entire time, continued being a full-time real estate agent, full-time realtor. I opened up purchased a boba shop. Are you familiar with boba tea?
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Oh, yeah. Me too. Me too.
Oh, I love it. There's a place down the road from us that we go to probably twice a week, me and my wife.
That's awesome.
It's delicious. So
no, that's it became more financially feasible for me to actually become an owner than for me to be a customer. So I ended up doing that. We grew it rather quickly, and then I sold off my share. And now I'm more on the education space. And again, through this entire time, I've been continued to be a full-time realtor. But now I actually help real estate agents in their business. So the statistic of people that get their license and 2 years down the road are no longer practicing is staggering, over 80%. So there's a lot of companies out there that teach you how to get into the business, but don't necessarily, there's not too many out there that teach you how to stay in business. And really that's kind of where I cue in. And it goes beyond a simple lead generation strategy. Again, my background is in business development. So I take a lot of those principles that we grew the company in my healthcare days from a very few amount of employees to over 100 within 18 months. So we had drastic growth. And I think that a lot of those same principles, I like to apply them for real estate agents, as they're business owners, whether they realize it or not. So keeping them in business is my business as well.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I love it. I love the journey. You know, I was just sitting here thinking I was going to talk to a regular real estate agent and everything was going to be okay. But that's awesome. And I love the fact that it's your progression. You know, your progression, you're always going. You're always trying to find something new. Not necessarily better, but better for you. Better that makes more sense for you. And that's what it's about. It's about trying to find what works for you, because what works for you might not work for me. What works for somebody else might not work for, you know, this other person. And so that's what we have to kind of try to figure out and everything. And I love, again, second, the fact that you're getting into the education space. That's a little bit what I'm trying to do as well, as educate my industry on, and every industry. One, with the technology that's out there, and two, with, you know, how to work a little bit more efficiently, a little bit more, you know, through the use of automation, through the use of the different technologies, because that's the future now. There's no reason why you should spend 5 hours on something when the click of a button and you pay maybe $12 a month could do it for you in 30 seconds. You know, and so that's great, man. I love it. So yeah, I wanted to we talked about it. Now let's talk about what is Remine.
Remine's a powerful software that I came across very much by accident last year. So when you're a real estate agent, you have to do continuing education. So commonly referred to as CEs. So you have to get CE credits. And it was in one of those classes that I was getting a mandatory CE that the instructor just by happenstance mentioned the word Remine and the icon related to it. So I just put it down on my notes. The instructor did nothing more than say, hey, there's Remine. We just got it. I don't necessarily know what it does, but it's my job to tell you that it's there. So that was the entire instruction on Remine. So I just wrote it down. And it wasn't until I actually needed to, well, let me backtrack. In 2018, very much to what we're about to see in 2019 during the summer, you're going to have a surplus of buyers and a shortage of sellers. So it goes back to finding a needle in a haystack of, I have all of these qualified buyers that are ready, willing, and able to, but we're losing out on so many multiple offer situations. And we're putting offers on houses that they don't even want. They just want to be into a home. And so it was in that need that I needed to create inventory for myself. So the traditional way of getting business in that scenario is door knocking, cold calling, talking to other agents, networking, trying to find anybody that will listen, for one, and then two, somebody that has a product, i.e. the house to sell, and are willing to sell if it makes financial sense for them. So it was in that search that I thought, well, there has to be another way. And I tried looking at the MLS. I tried looking at the Zillow. I tried looking at the county appraisal district. So really try to be creative. And I was just coming up with nothing. And then I remembered Remine, just going through my resources, the dashboard that I had access to. I started looking and seeing at all the filters that I could apply to not only public information as far as the consumer, the people that own the properties, but also the property information and how you were able to marry those together. I had not seen anything like that, especially in this space in the real estate industry. So after a bit of kind of trial and error from trying to get the thing to work for me, it's very intuitive, but at the same time, there was really no resources out there on YouTube, or people are still trying to define what Remine was and how to provide applicable ways to use it. And there just weren't really that many resources out there. There was people talking about it being there, but there really wasn't hey, apply it this way, do this, do that, do that. So I used it, and the very first time that I used it, it produced a lot a lot of houses for sale at once with minimal cost from the traditional way, where before you would have to send thousands of direct mail pieces to get one response, two responses, three responses. So the return rate, as you already know, is very low in traditional direct mail. But with Remine, I was able to really pinpoint to those owners that had owned the property over 10 years, that had the physical characteristics that we were looking for: 2-story, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2-car garage, front-facing garage, and things of that nature, and then marry it with those characteristics of the owner that were more susceptible to selling. Those people that were, again, had lived in that property for a good amount of time, that had some equity, that would at least be open to that conversation of selling that home, and just have some great success with it the very first time. And full disclosure, I haven't been able to replicate that exact formula that we went to in the, I don't want to get into too many numbers, but that I disclosed in the presentation, but I'm still having great success, and I don't need it to have that blistering of a result every time to have incredible return on investment.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I love it. Now, let me ask you this then. Just based on time savings alone, how much time are you saving by doing things the old way, the direct mailings and everything, compared to just using Remine now to find that inventory?
Safely, I can tell you, for every 1 minute that I invest in Remine, I save 10 minutes.
That is
safely, I can tell you.
That is amazing, because, I mean, while at a small scale, it means nothing. If you're actually growing and you're getting the leads in and everything, that could translate to hours, to days sometimes, if you've really got that foot traffic coming in, or if you got those leads coming in and everything. And because that's what it's about. It's this technology is there to help save time. You know, why do we need to save time? To, one, increase our sales, or just to have more time. You know, I mean, whether you want to go spend it with your family, you want to go spend it with your friends, or you want to grow your business, it's what it's all about.
100%, 100%. So yeah, that time saver is huge. That alone, and I think you saw that in that presentation, where there's so many applications to it, but people always gravitate towards, maybe that's my fault because I pigeonhole people in the giving them the example of the direct mail, but it can be applied in so many different ways. So I break it down into 3 categories. So Remine as the time saver, which there's a lot of components. You can create a CMA, you can look up property information, person information, so the property owner information rather quickly, have all that in one place, and you can really integrate it into your workflow. So it's very intuitive, and it helps you from a time saver. Second way that I present it is Remine as a prospector. So it makes a lot of my marketing prior to coming on. You mentioned, what do I use for marketing? Really, it's Remine. And it just makes my marketing that much more effective. It makes my spend, it reduces my spend, and it just returns, there's a higher return on investment. So I can still direct mail, I can text market, email market, door knock if I was doing that, cold calling. So from that second bucket that I like to categorize, Remine as a prospector, it just makes my spend just go crazy. I'm sorry, it reduces my spend crazy. And then the third bucket is Remine the matchmaker. So now they have a front-facing interface for consumers where I can put it in front of buyers, I can put it in front of sellers, investors, and they get real-time information that's a bit more factual and up to date than what they can get out in the Zillows, the Trulias, the Redfins, the Realtor.coms, where the MLS that we have access to, at least the MLSs that I've had access to, they're quite archaic. They are not user friendly. So while the data is accurate, just the functionality, if the functionality is not there, it's just not gonna it's not going to be used. And what I had my buyers and sellers, what they were using, more specifically my buyers, they were using Zillow products, and they were using Trulia, Realtor.com for the apps and the functionality. And what we would run into quite a bit is they'll forward me a property, and lo and behold, that property sold 2 weeks ago. And another risk that realtors have when their clients are out there using a Zillow product or a Realtor product, it's very easy and very tempting to click on the agent that's right next to that property and contact them. So they could potentially be losing that relationship. And a lot of it depends on how strong that relationship is. But at the end of the day, you want to not necessarily control, you want to control the controllables. And if you don't have to expose your business, your leads or your clients to a product that's effectively competing against you, then you don't have to.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think you put it perfectly. I mean, like you said, control the controllables. And that's kind of where we want to be is, we want to try to control what we can. And you want to make sure to, because you can build that relationship, and you can take them out and see, a million properties and everything. But yeah, you said they can have that up. They see that agent, call them up, and it's like, hey, yeah, I can get you in this house. And then all of a sudden, all that hard work you put in is kind of kaput.
100%.
Because my dad's a real estate agent, but my dad is from the old school way. So he just, everything's word of mouth for him. And he just, he always tells me, I want to get into how do I market on Facebook? I want to do it. I'm just like, it's not that easy. It just go. He's like, I want to build a website so people will come to me. It's like, it's not that easy, Dad. But but that's something I know he has come across where he'll help somebody out and then they just ghost him. And then all of a sudden they finally get a hold of, oh yeah, we already bought a house with somebody else, and it's just like, and I tell him, hey, there's certain things you got to start doing to kind of, one of the things that frustrates me the most about him, he keeps track of his leads on his phone. And so he'll create a contact that says, so-and-so name, call back. So he's got about, I want to say probably about 10 Juan Rodriguez's to call back, and he has no idea who to call back, And so it's just kind of one of those, like, hey, let's slowly start to kind of, get you there. Let's get a CRM going. Just maybe even a light one, just to kind of track the leads that you have coming in.
Yeah.
Because, while you think you're doing good, and you are doing good, just imagine if we just tweaked your processes a little bit to kind of use some of this technology, that'll save you a lot of time. And so he's starting to be open to the idea, but, I had mentioned this software to him, and he just kind of looked at me like, what?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I love that you're using it. I love that you're very active about it. Very proactive and very vocal about it. Because and I'm guessing because you believe in it.
100%. 100%.
So that's kind of how I am with Xero, the accounting software. Everybody knows QuickBooks. Everybody, and nothing against them. They do well. They're the market share. There's Xero software out there that I use that I promote 100% because I believe in it, what they stand for and what they do and everything, and I think it's great. And especially the education part of it. I love that you're actually trying to educate the people out there to know what's out there, because to me, it's all about collaboration and working with other people. You pay it forward, it's going to get paid double back to you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my mentality on it. So I wanted to touch a little bit more on that about the education part, and because I know you have a YouTube channel.
I do know. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. I do have a YouTube channel that I started it did start by accident. So I started recording videos very similar to this for my clients and going over the contract. So going over, everybody's busy. Everyone has different, whether, if one of my buyers was at work while the other one was off, or the other one's working. And then so coordinating that three-way conversation, or most importantly, getting in front of them and articulating, hey, this is what the contract looks like. This is what we're prepared to offer. And and this is the why and everything else. So to shortcut that learning curve, I started producing videos, screen capturing the contract, and really going line item by line item. Hey, this is what we're about to offer. This is why we're doing it. This is why we have to present it this way. We're not offering the most, but know that we have a very competitive. So going through that dialogue, but then I realized some of my clients don't watch them. So it was like, well, okay, I just invested 30 minutes of my time, actual screen time. I mean, there's still preparation going into it and after. So I thought, well, I don't want this to go to waste. So then I started producing videos of the, actually putting them on YouTube and doing it that way. But I started more for the agents. And my very first video was actually a Remine video, just teaching very archaically as I look back on it, kind of what launched it. I did know what I was talking about, but I had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And so what it could be. Now I have a firmer grasp, of course, but now I've evolved. But it was through that mentality that kind of got me started about started the channel, and we've been growing. So I want to see it get as large as possible. I'm not a YouTuber. That's not the end goal, but it's more, the more people that I can reach, the better. So I do help real estate agents with their marketing, however that manifests itself, whether some people have no problem getting leads, but they don't necessarily know how to increase their conversions, or they don't necessarily know the processes behind having a sustainable business. So I like to infuse myself wherever needed with coaching. So a lot of it is one-on-one. I do have some courses to quick start. I do want to provide as many options for agents so they can, again, with the ultimate goal of them being successful. The failure rate is quite high. And anything that I can do, that I can provide from my standpoint, is I think it's a benefit. And a majority of the people that consume my content never pull out their wallets, nor do I ask them to. If they do and they want to work together, fantastic. If they want to purchase one of my courses, fantastic. But that's not the why behind it. So I'm going to continue doing the YouTube video and providing as much value as I can that I can really make accessible to everybody. And so the more people hear about it, the more, I guess, a bigger reach. That would be the end goal, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, because it's all about, you have this information and you want to share it with the world, and you're not really asking for anything. And that's great, because like I said, that's kind of this new way, this new mentality. Because I know, at least in my industry, in the accounting industry, it was always about, you keep your knowledge and everything, kind of, your intellectual assets, you keep them bottled up, and it's like no one else can have them because this is what I know. Well, nowadays with Google, I mean, I can Google just about anything and find out, okay, this is how this is done, this is how that's done. So that's something that now, at least I know I try to do, and I love that you're doing it. You're just kind of, hey, let me just share this information with you guys, and if it's beneficial and you like what I'm doing, then let's talk. Maybe I can help you with this, or maybe I can help you with that, or if not, then that's why I'm providing this content for you guys, to be able to use it, to ingest it, to digest it, or whatever the right word is, and use it effectively so you can succeed. It's all about empowering it. That's my kind of passion, is empowering small business owners, empowering entrepreneurs, to give them the fighting chance to survive. Because I mean, like you said, you can get into it and you can be the best salesman in the world, but if you don't know how to run your business, you're going under.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of, like I said, my passion, at least, and I can see it a lot with you as well, and I think it's great. That's why, like I said, when I saw you up there giving that presentation, I was just like, I have to get this guy on the podcast now.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So, I kind of want to switch it up, not too much, but, what made you go out on your own? Leave. You said you were working with the healthcare industry, kind of
Mm-hmm.
business development. What made you decide, hey, you know what, I'm done with the 9 to 5, or I'm done with this, and I kind of want to take a chance on myself?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a very, very good question. So really, real estate was always on my radar from day one. As far as entrepreneurship, I really don't consider myself as an entrepreneur
Hmm.
quite yet. It's I just know that I've always wanted to do something for myself.
Okay.
Uh, and I really, there's no history of entrepreneurship in my family.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, at that time I wasn't introduced to the Gary V's of the world. I wish I had a better way of articulating it, but it was just one of those where I subconsciously make a decision and then it just happens.
Hmm.
So it happened that way when I was selecting universities to go to. It happened that way when I was selecting where to go work for the first time. For some reason, there's a decision that gets made. I don't have a filter process on how to make decisions. They just end up happening. And it was pretty much the same thing here where, the business brokerage just seemed so in tune with what my capabilities were when it came to helping business owners sell their businesses or working with small private equity firms that were looking to get some acquiring businesses, so mergers and acquisitions. It
Hmm.
just seems so natural that I ended up just doing it. So I wish I had a good answer for you, but this isn't I knew that I wanted to be in entrepreneurship. I don't have that story. I wish I could say that I did the lemonade stand or the paper route. I do not have that story. It just happened.
Well, hi, man. I will tell you this, man. Your story is kind of a lot like me. I have nobody, none of my, most of my family, just all, I guess the term, played it safe. Had the jobs, had the careers, got the retirements, and they were happy and everything. There was really nothing in my life that really stuck out to me that was like, hey, you should go out on your own, or a path that I need to follow, or anything like that. So our stories are very similar like that. For me, it was just for me, what it was just I was in my old firm, and a CPA firm here locally, and I just like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And that's kind of what my decision was, like, okay, let me go ahead and do it. Let me take a shot, because I mean, at the end of the day, I can always go back and work if this doesn't work out. And so no, don't. It's not that. No, it is not that it's not interesting, man. It's not everybody has that drive. Not everybody has that, like, story that Gary V, really, I woke up and I listened to him. And like you said, I barely found out about Gary V last year.
Yeah.
I didn't know him, and same thing with what's his name, the sales guy, Grant Cardone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I barely found these guys recently. And it's just the fact that you made the decision and did it. I think that's awesome. I mean, that to me is interesting, because that's a huge decision to make.
Yeah.
That you're just like, okay, I've got my job, but you know what? I think I'm going to go do this. And like you said, then you went and actually started buying into businesses or buying businesses, which is an even bigger, riskier thing to do. So, no, man, don't sell yourself short, brother. That is a very interesting story, man. I love it, because you like I said, we're back to it. You're trying to find what worked best for you,
Mm-hmm.
and now it seems like you enjoy doing this. You enjoy kind of talking about the software, and helping real estate agents and firms and everything, kind of using it. And that's what it's about. We got to find what we like to do.
100%.
Because is it Gary Vee that says that if you don't love what you do, I forget the quote, but I know it just essentially comes down to, you got to love what you do. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
there's a way to monetize really at this point with the reach that people can have and just the accessibility. I mean, never, like 5 years ago, this wasn't possible. 10 years ago, certainly it wasn't possible. Now you can reach the masses very quickly.
mhm.
So, I mean, it's just the opportunities are there, and yeah, following your passion is important, and it has its place. But as far as accessibility and the reach that you can have now, it's just like no other.
Yeah,
No other. It really is a land grab, and people are, vying for attention at this point.
No,
And
that is perfectly well put. I love that you put it that because I was listening to, I forgot what podcast it was. I was listening to, and it was a gentleman that his whole business model is essentially teaching. It's called youpreneur. So you take what you love to do and you can turn that into, you build your brand around and you turn it into a business. He says he's got people who write blogs about Pokemon, do podcasts about Pokemon because they love it so much and are making a killing, with their YouTube videos, with that Pokemon Go game that came out, kind of different hacks and stuff to do with that. And I mean, they're killing it over stuff that's something that they love. So I like you said, and it all comes down to that reach. That reach is there now that we can reach as many people as we want and everything. So, no, I love it, man. I love your story. I love Remine. I love what it's about. I've actually contacted them. I want to do a demo of it because I really, really want to hone down and get into it because I just want to see what it looks like. I saw the presentation you gave, but I want to see it real time. I'm the type of guy that when something comes out, I like to dive deep into it and like, okay, let me figure it out and whatnot. I will say this though, I will catch. I haven't had time. It's tax season, but once tax season's over, man, I'm probably gonna blow through all your YouTube videos.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So, all right, man, we're coming up at the end of it, Jaime. I just want to say thank you for coming, man. Information was awesome, great value. I think that those of you guys that are realtors, real estate agents, firms, brokerage firms out there, look his YouTube channel up. Are you up to the point where you have like a special link, or is it still kind of
I do have the special link. So it's youtube.com/Jaime Resendiz, just the way that it's spelled. So JaimeResendiz. So it's just my name.
Perfect, guys. So we're gonna link that below on both the podcast and the video version of it. We're gonna do that. We're gonna link your website as well, and I'm sure you're more than happy to talk to people that want to learn a little bit more about this, huh, Jaime?
100%.
Awesome. Well, guys, y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see y'all later. Thanks, Jaime.
Thank you.